Hello, Mandela, and welcome to your second Talk for Writing lesson of the week. Today, our learning objective is, can I use emotive words and language? What is emotive language? Now, this is something that you might have already heard of. So I would like you to pause the video for a moment and have a think about what emotive language is. Pause your video. Let's find out what emotive language is. So, emotive language is the term used when we choose words to evoke an emotional response, to make someone feel something. That means that the person who is reading our work feels some emotional response. So we might feel sympathy. Poor old Jack. That makes us feel sorry for Jack. Hopeful. We might win. So that makes us feel hopeful that we might win the battle in Times Table Rock Stars. Angry. That's awful. Amazed. I've had the most extraordinary day. And these all give the reader an emotional response. You can use different adjectives and verbs to create a strong emotional reaction for the person reading or listening to you. Here are some examples. So let's have a look at the adjectives that could create a strong emotional reaction. Appalling, wonderful, heavenly, magical, tragic. And let's have a look at some verbs that would create that emotional reaction. Destroyed, saved, betrayed, adored. So those all help to create a strong emotional reaction in the person reading or listening to you. We can turn this sentence into an emotive sentence by adding in adjectives and changing the verbs. I'd like you to get your whiteboards or a piece of paper so that you can have a go at doing this. Pause the video while you go and get your whiteboard or piece of paper. Let's have a look at our sentence. So our sentence says, the dog was left by his owner. And we are going to try and make this sentence more emotive. So we can do this by adding some adjectives to describe the dog. So in front of the dog, just here where I put green to remind you, you can add in 2 adjectives to describe the dog. We could also describe the owner. So we can put some adjectives in front of the word owner to help us to describe the owner. We can also change our verb, and we can change our verb to create a stronger response in the person who is reading our work. So our verb in this sentence is left. I want you to have a go at improving this sentence by adding in some adjectives and changing the verb. Then we will have a look at my sentence. Pause the video and write your sentence now. Let's have a look at my sentence. So I've changed my sentence to, the poor innocent dog was abandoned by his horrible owner. So this helps to create that emotive response when you are reading the sentence. So when I think about the dog, I feel sorry for the dog because he's poor and innocent. And he was abandoned, which means that he was left all by himself. I also feel sad for him or sorry for him because he has a horrible owner. How did you get on with your sentence? Does it create an emotive response in the person who is reading your writing? Let's have a go at adding more emotive language into this sentence. So let's think about what we could change in our sentence. So let's start by identifying the adjectives and the verbs in our sentence. So we can describe what the boy is like by adding some adjectives here. We can also describe his game by adding an adjective in here. We could see if we can find a better verb to use by looking at the word loves, which is the verb in our sentence. What I'd like you to do now is pause your video and have a go at improving this sentence by adding more emotive language. Then we'll come back and we'll look at mine. The lovely boy adores his exciting new game. So this tells me that the boy is lovely and that he is a very nice young man. It also tells me that he's very excited by his new game. And we've improved the word love to adores because that makes you think more strongly about how the boy is feeling about his new game. Let's have a look at another sentence and see if we can add some more emotive language. The girl broke her toy. So we can think about how we would describe the girl and how we would describe her toy using adjectives. Then we can think about maybe using a different verb to improve the sentence. Our verb is broke. I'd like you to pause your video and have a go at writing your sentence. Let's have a look at my sentence. The silly girl destroyed her brand new toy. How does that make you feel? Pause your video and describe to your teddy how that made you feel. To me, it makes a picture of a girl who wasn't being very careful with her new toy and that she's destroyed it so that it's broken and she will no longer be able to play with it. So it makes me feel quite disappointed. I want you to look at this picture carefully and look for clues in the picture to see if you can write your own emotive sentence about this picture on your whiteboard. So you've got to create that reaction in the reader. Look at how the boys might be feeling. Look at what they're doing. See if you can write a sentence. Pause your video. Let's have a look at my sentence. The proud young boy scored an amazing goal against the other team. And this shows me that he's really proud of his achievements. So he's really pleased that he's done well in the football game and that he's scored an amazing goal. So that shows me how good the goal was that he has scored. Look at this picture. Write an emotive sentence about this picture on the whiteboard. Look and see what the dog is doing with the rhino. How does that make you feel? How do you think the dog might be feeling? How do you think the rhino might be feeling? Can you write that in a sentence to create an emotive response for me? Pause your video and have a go. Let's have a look at my sentence. The kind, sweet puppy became friends with the lovely baby rhino. How does that make you feel? That makes me feel joyful that they've made friends and that the puppy is sweet, kind and caring towards the rhino, who might not have had any friends, which is why he might be looking a little bit sad and lonely. Activity 1. You need to write the sentences below, making them more emotive by putting adjectives in the blanks below or by changing the verb. So what you've got to do is you've got to carefully read the sentences. You've got to then look at the sentence and see if you can make it more emotive by putting an adjective in the blank space or by finding the verb and changing the verb. So let's look at the first one. The something musician even, had to play for the something crowd. So think of a word to describe the musician and think of a word to describe the crowd. I think the musician might be talented, which means he's very good at playing his instrument. And he's playing for the excited crowd because they're excited to be there to listen to him playing. See if you can improve the rest of the sentences by adding in adjectives or describing the verbs. Let's have a look at this. See if you can rewrite the sentences to improve them by making them more emotive. Can you add in adjectives and change the verb? So if you look at the first sentence, Victorian children had to complete jobs to earn money. Can you make it more emotive? How could you describe the children? Can you find the verb? Can you change the verb? Could you describe the jobs the children did using an adjective? Then have a go at finishing off the rest of the sentences and improving them by adding some emotive language. Finally, activity 3. Write down your own emotive sentences about the pictures. Remember to use a variety of adjectives and verbs. If you want to push your vocabulary and you have access to the internet, you could use an online thesaurus to find new words that mean the same thing. So you need to make sure you look really carefully at the pictures so that you can write an emotive sentence about the picture using adjectives to describe and verbs to create an emotive response to the reader. I'm looking forward to reading your sentences. See you tomorrow, 3 Mandela.